Ooh, cutting it close here. I'm getting my camera set up, so just bear with me a second. Oh, I don't need my headset on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our glorious April development update. It has been a month, and oh boy, for Stephen and I, it has been a month. We've had so much going on. It has been crazy, but in a good way. We're obviously
I'm
ramping
tired.
up as we're heading towards
I'm gonna run to
our
grab a drink
Alpha
too.
2 that's coming up here in Q3. But of course, I'm Margaret Crone, your Director of Communications here at Intrepid Studios. And with me, as always, is Stephen Sharif, our Creative Director. How are you doing today?
I am tired. But I'm doing good. I'm excited. It's a live stream day.
We've had a
And we
lot
get
of
to
late night. Sometimes you gotta do a little crunching. We've had some
Oh
couple
my
weeks of late
goodness.
nights. We had some P4 problems at one point, so it just
Mm,
the
that's
team.
always fun.
Yeah, it's always a little stressful, but it's been rocking and rolling, and it's been a lot of good things that have come out of that.
We're gonna
Of
keep the
course,
cam
I'm
off
today
for.
looking
for
at
oh, go ahead.
by the way, I'm just
Just
real
'cause I
quick.
wanna
I'm
eat.
looking at myself in the camera and I'm like, whoa, my eyes look terrible. So
It's
I
because you're
apologize.
tired. You can't
I'm
keep
a
them
little bit
open.
tired. I
Hey,
know.
me
So
too,
I'm
Steven.
a
Me
little
too, man.
tired,
I
so I
got you.
apologize for that. But
I know I got like
we had
4 hours of sleep, but I still couldn't.
Me
I
too,
still woke up. Like, I don't know.
bro.
But pregnancy problems. I have like
I
a
have
huge
my
bump now, you guys. It's crazy.
oh my goodness. I know that's so
Yeah, I don't know if people
exciting.
could see. Like,
Whoa,
I
look at
know.
that. It's
I'm halfway
happening.
point. Halfway point. We're 20
That's
weeks, so
awesome. That is
crazy.
amazing.
Well,
I
we'll be
love
20
it.
weeks next week. But
Mm.
yeah, Steven's shown off some of our merch that we've been working on. I think we've been getting a lot of questions about merch, and you can kind of see we always tease a little bit in the background, but we are. I mean, I guess I can talk a little bit about that before we get into things, but we are doing a lot of samples right now, and some things are already in full manufacture, and the samples have been approved, so it's been pretty exciting. We're
Can I
hoping
just
to.
say to those of you in the audience I see saying that you need this mug. First of all, this is my gallon of coffee for the morning. But second of all, there was some debate on the team about whether or not this is too
Oh
big.
yeah, you tell us.
Of course, my
No. In fact, I want
opinion
that
is that
mug.
it's not big enough. But of course, you in the audience can say, do you
I think
think
it should
this
just be like an
mug is
inch
it?
smaller, like
What?
in,
No
No.
way. Not at all. Look
because
at
it's
As
going
long
to
as
be
it fits under the
cold.
Keurig, it doesn't
see
fucking
people
matter how
saying
big
too
it is.
small. It's perfect. It's a tankard. I'm
I
telling
like
you,
the
this
size of the mug. I just think like the handle needs to be
I
in a little bit more, just like an inch.
I
But I
don't
love
know.
it.
I feel like the handles is kind of unique,
Oh,
right?
it's
It's
100% unique. So for the mugs that we
The
made,
handle may
all
be a
the
little too
mugs
big.
are
I'll
custom
concede on that
mold.
one.
We Mike Vecchio designed them. He's awesome. So these
These
are
are so
samples though.
big.
There's some stuff wrong with them. So don't look too
I love
closely.
it. I know. I love it. This is the other
They're not
side.
final samples either.
So good.
Yeah, it's
Oh, so they
looking
might be
pretty
selling them
cool.
eventually.
And you can see some puzzle boxes in the background for that Steven's got. But of course, today that's not what we're discussing. We are there's always stuff that is simultaneous. People sometimes they think that what we're showing on the live stream is all we have. Homies, we got like 500 things going on simultaneously, parallel to one another.
Yes.
So this is just what we want feedback on for this month. And so for this month, we're gonna have some quick reminders, very quick. We have our Midnight Magic action, which will be showing off some desert area with the nighttime lighting. We know we got a lot of feedback on the nighttime lighting, so we've made some updates. So definitely send us your
I'm a desert
additional
guy, man.
feedback. And then we also
All the
have some
feedback in the
mage
world.
abilities, fire
Camera will be
abilities
on here in 2
for
seconds.
those
Almost done eating.
pyros out there, as well
Yes.
as we do have weapon combo stuff that we're going to be showing off. And we'll have
Mhm.
some tangential videos that you'll see on social later. So stay tuned for those.
And
Um,
the
yeah,
skybox as well,
yeah.
which is a big change, and many of you guys know about the constellation system. This skybox is going to be facilitating that in a really cool way. I'm excited about the showcase today.
Yeah, and there are still some things that we're working on with the Skybox, so everything's work in progress. Keep that in mind. And then we'll have a little studio update as well as art update, and we'll do our Q&A as always. And we will be taking questions after the Midnight Magic segment as well, as per usual. We do
Oh
want to do a
yeah.
little bit of a caveat, and I don't know if you want to handle that, Stephen, or if you want me to,
Which
in
caveat?
regards to Alpha 2
Oh yeah,
content.
sure,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Um,
Whew,
so
okay.
This is something, and after this, are we going to be going into Midnight Magic, or
Oh
do
no.
you
We'll
wanna-
do reminders and then we'll go to
Let's do
Midnight Magic.
reminders first, and then I'll
Yeah.
do the.
All right, so I'll hit you guys
We
with
can
some
do that.
reminders.
So,
I realized like
quick
what's that?
updates. We'll just get right into that. Our first thing is our YouTube subscriber comment. And if you would like your comments that spotlighted, you have to subscribe to us on YouTube and make sure that you have your subscription public, and then leave us a comment on our development update version of our video. And so this one is from Spillo4900 or 4900. And they want to know, can you guys make an option for UI elements to be switched off or on? For example, I always love to play with less info on my screen, so I feel more immersed. I would love to be able to turn
I don't
off the
understand people like
nameplates, the
that,
health bars,
but
and
it is
mainly
still
the
a good
glowing
option to keep
circles
in.
under every target or player. So I think they just want customization in it. I know we can turn off
Sure.
all the HUD, but I think they want to be able to
Yeah.
turn off the elements they
Individual
want.
elements. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Holy shit, health bars.
No, I mean, Colby and Grat,
Sorry.
the UI team in general agrees with this sentiment. I do as well, right? We want as much customization as possible. Currently, you can disable some of those elements. We're going to be expanding that to all elements in the
Deegan's
future.
kind of quiet, isn't he?
You can also move those elements around the screen, position them where you want them to. You can increase and decrease the sizes of those elements. Customization is obviously a very important aspect of UI because each of us has unique preferences that are predicated on just what we've enjoyed in the past and
Whoops.
and how
I
we
hate
want to
that
play
that
our
happens.
game. So we are totally on board with customization, and that will be an
Even
element
in
of
Alpha
the
2,
UI.
you can see some of the customization that we have. Like you can move stuff
Yes.
around, adjust sizes of things. So obviously, we're going to expand upon that as we move forward.
Yeah, and
Check
right
the
now
customization plan.
the by pressing Shift H currently in the game, you can manipulate those elements as is.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about right.
And then the next reminder here is, of course, that we do have some more dev discussions. We've wrapped up our previous one, or we are wrapping up this one, which is the item drops. And we want to know, what types of items and upgrades do you expect to drop from regular mobs? Do you feel good when regular mobs have a rare chance to drop powerful items? Head on
No.
over, toss us your feedback. We would love to hear from you guys. I know there's a lot of you out there who are thinking about item progression, and you have some thoughts about this. So if you're not in that thread, I don't know what you're doing, because I feel like every MMO player, this is your life, is chasing after the epic items. And of course, our next one that will be coming up is going to be about
Maybe I should drop a
cutscenes.
form post, but
we would be interested in your
I
thoughts.
don't
Stay tuned for that.
like when
Maybe I
normal
can
mobs do,
barely
because then it
hold
just
some
becomes
up.
a moment of grind the shit mob
Big.
I want me to
for
hold
the
it
powerful
to see
item
how
instead
big
of
it is
grind the
compared
like
to me.
pinpoint boss that you
I
can
need to
guarantee
work
has
out.
the
I'm
item.
like shaking this thing. It's like, wait a minute.
Well, that's a different problem, Stephen.
I need to get some weights in the office, just doing the meetings like this
Don't
or
say that.
something.
John's
Kind of
going
like
to
the
start bringing you
BDO
Oh
conundrum, right?
no,
weights.
I shouldn't say that. Like a
Uh,
treadmill in the conference room.
Anyways, let's move on to Midnight Magic then.
All right, so before we get into Midnight Magic, there is a very important topic that I feel we as a community and as the studio need to reinforce and discuss again. We have said time and time again in the past that our alpha will be a true alpha. And I love going out in the community and reading commentary in Discord and reading the forums and reading the Reddits and reading our social media and kind of listening to different content creators over the weekends as they have their live shows and as they put out videos during the week. I absorb as much as possible because it is that connection I feel with the community that provides a level of insight for player expectation, for player feedback, how we can iterate on what we're doing, right? All of that stuff is a very
1
important thing
second.
to just
You
kind of
guys can see
keep on
Steven. You
top
can
of.
imagine Steven's face for
And
like 2 seconds.
as I am continually watching and I see the hype growing for Alpha 2 coming up, third quarter this year, and we are still on schedule for that date. But as I am
Yeah, quarter
watching
3.
yes, correct. As I'm watching the
I could have made a
commentary
window
out
capture. I
there,
don't know why I didn't.
it feels more and more to me that the expectation is that you are going to be playing a game. And I will go back to what I have said multiple times in the past. This is not an Eastern port over for localization of a completed game that many of us have experienced in MMO land. This is a true alpha. There will be lots of bugs. There will be potential wipes. There will be content that is not finished. There will be things that when you are playing may not be fun because of that. Obviously, the goal is that our core systems and the experience is going to be an enjoyable one, but you are not playing a finished game at that point. You are literally playing a
Tried to
true
make a
alpha.
coffee, man. Ugh.
And I want you and the
I'll have to do it
community, and
later.
I want the content creators to assist us in making sure that that level of expectation is understood by broader audiences, because not everybody tunes in to the live stream. Not everybody follows the project religiously. Like, there are
Not like this
different
guy.
types of cohorts of players out there that are engaged with us at different levels. And it's important that we make sure we manage expectations that what you guys will be seeing in quarter 3 is the alpha of, excuse me, is the alpha of Ashes of Creation. Now, I'm very excited for what we're building. I think
Me
it looks
3.
great. I think it plays great. I think what we are presenting as a product is something that the players, a large fraction of the market share of MMO players want. I believe in that very much. And I think that that is validated by the majority of feedback and response that we see from the community when we get these monthly updates. And that's that's part of the purpose why we give updates. Now, in Midnight Magic, which you're going to see, we're going to touch on a number of different topics. And this is kind of like a little bit of a catch up to where we have noticed feedback from the community in the past. And it touches on a few of those things. It touches on um, the nighttime lighting, which was something that we got twice a lot of feedback from the community on. We got it during the artisanship showcase, and we got it during the cleric showcase, the first cleric showcase, almost 2 years ago. And it was overwhelming that players wanted a darker setting for night. So we do these showcases around specific updates where we want to collect your feedback. We're not showing you all of the game during these updates because we want there to be some discovery for that during alpha for those of you who are playing in alpha. So we try to pinpoint topics that are useful
It's the
to
PAX
us
Day
to make
issue, right?
sure that we are either have the right guiding star in
Well,
how
let's
we
say just
iterate
it's not
on
just
these
PAX.
things,
PAX
and
Day
you guys are
recently.
those stars, right? To use a perfect tie-in
People
a
not giving them the
metaphor for
benefit of
what
the
we're
doubt, the
showing
fact
here
that it's an
shortly.
actual alpha.
And then we're also talking about the
But it is still
skybox.
good that
A
Steven
lot of
hammers it
people are
home.
talking about how the
That way
sky
the
looked a
community
little
can
bit
point to
plain,
it
and
instead
we
of just
wanted to
saying it
bring up that level of fantasy. We are showing off a
or
biome
convincing of
which you
his
guys
mouth
had
than
seen a
ours.
preview of in the past, but not actually seen us playing in within game. Now, very important that when we talk about biomes are essentially zones, are a lot of work to develop, right, from a content perspective. And what you're going to be seeing here is the Sand Squall Desert, a slice of the Sand Squall Desert. We will be announcing in the future with likely some blog post or during an update,
Probably
probably.
both. Probably like a
Yep,
live stream
yeah,
as well as an article that will go
exactly.
simultaneous with it.
Yeah, where we go into depth on what is expected at the start of Alpha 2. However, what I will say is that Alpha 2 is a long going testing period where we are going to have significant updates to the game and to the content that's playable over the course of Alpha 2. So when we define our production
Wonder if it'll
schedule,
tell
and
us
just
how
to give
long
you
it'll
some
be up.
insight on the game development side,
I feel like that's
excuse me.
like
Obviously,
hard for them to gauge.
we have our core feature set, we have the content that's planned, and we bifurcate those into entrance criteria for Alpha 2, right? And that's a list of things that we need to accomplish and that we're in the middle of accomplishing. And then we have our list of updates that we want to release, which is Alpha 2.1 and Alpha 2.2 and Alpha 2.3. And those have a certain cadence, which we'll get into in the future as we talk about, more about what Alpha 2 is going to look like. But to
And with
keep in
those, we'll have
mind, yeah,
updates and articles that go alongside those. But the goal is to get to our exit criteria, which we also have a list of what we want to have at the end, you know.
Yeah, the exit criteria is very big.
It is.
Um,
So it will be a long testing period that we'll
that's right.
have you guys be part of.
Okay, so it's
Absolutely. And then in
non-defined.
addition, what we're touching on here in Midnight Magic is going to be the weapon progression system as well as the wand. And we're going to do something a little bit different with regards to this month's update. We're going to be showing some of that within this within Midnight Magic. But then we're also, Margaret and her team are going to be working with Brian Ferguson, who authored the wand progression system, and do some additional video content that will be released throughout the month.
Yeah, so
To
you can
give
see
you
a couple
guys,
different specs because we didn't show
yeah,
off all this. There's a lot of specs.
there's a lot, right? There's a lot of specs. This is an in-depth weapon progression system, and so much so where you don't traditionally see this level of depth
Will we
within a weapon
have
progression
multiple
system, as
weapons?
well as
I
having
don't know if
the
they've ever said that.
standardized class archetype system, right? You usually see one or the other, right? Either they're really in depth on the weapon or they're really in depth on the class. We decided to do both because we're crazy. No, I'm just kidding. because
Well, no,
it's
I mean,
compelling and it's
more depth
interesting,
is
right?
great.
I
That's
think
what
it's
we feel
fun
players are
when
going to
We
when
enjoy.
just
you
really
think
don't
about
want to
your
go.
class
We don't want to fly too
for
close to the sun.
archetype in this
That is
case,
Path
but
of
in
Exile.
classes that you've played in the past or the customization that you've made for your character. I mean, think about what made it unique, right? Like what made you powerful is like, hey, I figured out this spec that this person didn't use. Or if you think about how people share specs in order to be like, hey, you want a spec like this for this fight and spec like that for this fight. Like that's the whole
I don't want to be
that's the fun
pessimistic,
of, especially for us math and combat junkies out there.
but a lot of
Absolutely. And
that
then
will
last but not
die
least, of
within the
course,
first 6 months of the
we'll
game
be showing an update around some of the mage
and only be
abilities,
reignited
specifically a lot of the fire abilities, which
momentarily
you
on
haven't seen
each
before.
major
Those
update,
have now been
probably.
authored. And then some of the lightning effects. We got a lot of feedback about ball lightning. We got a lot of feedback about some other skills that we made updates to, because this is the type of relationship that companies who author these games should have with their community. And we want to show that even in active development, we are observing. Margaret and her team put together these glorious feedback reports that
Beckner and Roshan,
collect
thank you for reading
that
everything.
that collect across the wide array of areas where you guys make comments, right? And then they present it to the team, and we incorporate some of the feedback that we agree with into how we iterate. And so that's what this video is going to be about. We hope you guys enjoyed. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I think the world is looking great and feeling great and immersive. And boy, oh boy! Also, we're going to be releasing this on YouTube, correct?
Yes,
At the same time.
simultaneously.
So remember, if you're watching on YouTube in all of its 4K glory, stick around in Twitch, continue to comment here because your comments do get brought in to our feedback points. And we'll
All
see
right.
you in just a moment.
And we will see.
Man's
on the
crazy
flip
for
side.
scraping Twitch chat. We might need to adjust the volume again, so bear with me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another update from the beautiful world of Vera. And we
Thank you, I
have
came through
an
my mic for a
exciting
second the other day.
showcase for you guys tonight. As you can see, we are not in the Riverlands, but instead in
You're
the
in Two
beautiful
Stevens.
Sand Squall Desert. And we are going
I
to
don't
be
know if you guys
talking
heard it over
about, as
phone
you
very
can
fast.
tell already, the nighttime updates with the skybox updates, some mage updates, and a wand. We have an exciting showcase. And I am joined by four absolute glorious developers, three of whom you guys have not seen of
One of which he
or
almost
heard
forgot.
from ever. But they do glorious work here at Intrepid Studios. Our dynamically glorious duo lighting team, Chris Logan, Gabriel Ford. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing awesome.
Poor developers.
Yeah, peachy.
On a
Love
Glad to be
it.
here.
Glad to have you guys. Glad to have you both. And also, the man responsible for this beautiful skybox that you're seeing, Todd, one of our glorious senior VFX artists. How you doing, Todd?
Todd was also
Great.
one of them.
Glad to be here.
Happy to have you as well. And we have a regular on the stream, one of our senior combat designers, Mr. Brian Ferguson,
Oh,
responsible
Brian.
for all things wand and many other things. Brian, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great.
honored to be here, and I'm
They better nail the
happy
wand. I feel like
and ex-
wands get
I'm
like
just
done real
excited
dirty
to
in a lot
get
of
into all the
games.
stuff we've been doing on
Not
combat.
MMOs necessarily,
I'm
but games in
excited
general.
too because you know what? It's feeling good and it's looking good. So let's get into it. Obviously, you guys can see we have got quite an update when
It's
it
usually
comes
baby's
to
first
the
magical
lighting
weapon
and
instead
the
of like
visuals of the sky.
being actually
I'm
good.
gonna jump on my
and you're better off using a
wonderful
fucking
Shell of the
staff
Ancients because
or a
you know
dagger,
what? We're talking
depending on
about
the game.
skies, and this guy has got some skies on his back. He's got some galaxies on his back. And while I do that, I would love
That is a wild looking
Todd to
girl.
hear from you about what we have done with this sky because it is looking freaking good.
What the fuck is? Wait, there's a.
What
Is that a?
haven't we done?
Bro,
One of the
fucking
main things
Sephiroth.
we did was we converted it over to a cube map, which means that it can actually rotate as the planet itself rotates.
Bro's talking from inside of a can.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. And you know what? That sounds like it plays into
Probably
perfectly
remote in a
what we
echoey room or
need
something.
the Skybox to do, which is provide us some interesting and compelling predicates for our constellation system.
It's an
So
Albino
having that
Scorpion
true
angle, right?
rotation is also a gameplay component, not just visual. And boy, I got to tell you, Todd, those moons look great.
Don't they? I wish I could take full credit for those, but I can't. But I really love the way they
But
turned
I
out
still
in the
will.
sky.
Yes, they do look good. Gabe, Chris, talk to me about those moons.
Yeah, so the most recent update on the moons is getting them mainly to respond to the wonderful skybox that Todd created. I don't know if you can find the shattered moon behind the clouds, maybe.
He did for a second.
But
It
there's
was
definitely
on
some
screen.
pickup you can see of the nebula behind it.
Let's make it the
adding a
meteor
little
from
bit to
Final
it,
Fantasy VII.
give it a little bit of life, and make it feel like it's really a part of the world, and it's responding to things that are moving. As Todd said, the nebulas will move through the day-night cycle, and so you'll be able to see that reflected in the moons as well. And I know, Todd, you did some work on some of the VFX for the moon,
Bro.
explosions and things like that. I don't know if you want to, if we might be able to catch some
Dragon's
of that
Dogma all over
happening.
again. We're going to have to upgrade the
Yep,
nodes
that's
in the
right. You
moon.
can see it erupting right now. And
Ooh,
we periodically do that.
No,
that
I
looks
said that
so
weird.
good. And those of you
Not
out
all
in,
over again.
out in the wild, out in the audience, who are unfamiliar with the lore in Ashes of Creation, we have what are known as harbingers that were kind of the foretellers of the impending apocalypse long before you have arrived back on Vera, one of which struck that moon. And God knows what is happening up there right now, but we know that those harbingers did not bring good things. They were not bringing the best of things to Vera.
So,
But,
my horrible
Chris,
joke.
Gabe,
Maybe we
talk
do
to me
actually get to
about
go to
this
the moon.
nighttime lighting because it is looking dramatic.
Future expansion.
moody. I
Upgrade
love
nodes
it.
on the moon.
Thank you. The big takeaways were responding to some of the feedback from the community about pushing it a bit darker. The nighttime previous to this was a little bit brighter, so we're definitely pushing some of the darkness values. I, as a from a personal perspective, I definitely like to push things as dark as the game designers will allow me to. So I'm always happy to respond to that kind of feedback.
I think that's a good.
Yeah, and
with-
we did get that feedback, by the way. We had
Darkness
shown
should be
off, I think it was a couple of years ago, our kind of super first pass on nighttime lighting, and players wanted it darker. That was like the overwhelming sentiment that we got from the community, and I feel like with this pass that you have done here with the nighttime lighting, you've struck the right balance between what
Give me
feels
a little sidetrack for a second.
dark enough to elicit that kind of vibe that you want to see in nighttime, without kind of entirely obscuring vision of other players and NPCs, or requiring a constant torch or light next to you.
Right, and that's the magic of it, right? That's where the fun is for me, and I know Chris will probably agree, is finding that balance of making it feel the inherent feeling of how we understand night and how we enjoy playing games, because nobody wants to play in complete darkness. So yeah, it's a lot of balancing on that end, and then working with Todd's Skydome, he's had a lot of really great work with bringing in some an ethereal atmosphere and colors. And, you know, we've been on the lighting side trying to pull from that as much as possible to give night less of a Hollywood blue aesthetic to it. And we've been pushing the purples, trying to give it just as much atmosphere and moodiness as we can get away with in the fantasy world of Vera. You know, and hope that it feels the way that we intend it to. We want it to feel nice and moody and spooky at sometimes, and really push it as far as we can.
Yeah, and Chris, talk to me about your
Are these
guys'
more
plans
Minotaurs?
continued with lighting. I mean, you and Gabe have obviously been working on lighting here for a few
Lighting
months
does look
now,
good though.
and I know that
They're
there's
coming on that.
a lot of updates we're going to be showcasing in the
I wish it was
future
darker.
around the daytime lighting, and that's going to be relatively significant
But
for just the
Ashes is
general
not a
visuals
survival
of the
game.
game.
Or
As
a game
we
where,
at least
like,
can see here
darkness
with regards
matters
to the
as
nighttime
much.
update. Talk to me about your guys' plans.
But
Yeah, so
my brain.
Gabe's working on the TOD system pretty exclusively, and he is
But
doing
the
some
light
really
reacts with it
cool
really well,
stuff that I really has never been done in games before. Some of the stuff he's doing with how the sky reacts, and we actually get color fades from like warms on one end to the really deep cools on the other side. Some of the atmospherics, we're doing some weather stuff that we're hoping to showcase shortly here. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the
Ooh,
horizon.
they actually can
That's what I
path
can
down? I wonder if they can path up.
Oh my gosh, I love even how the VFX interact with the lighting. I mean, it really pops. Uh-oh, here we go, hold on. I'm not ready for you yet. You just chill out. Chill there for a second.
Sleepy time.
Brian, we got to see a little bit there of some of the wand updates. I'm going to showcase that again, and then let's talk a little bit about the wand progression. But before we do that, I want to show off an update that the community was requesting with Ball of Lightning.
Okay.
That looks so much better. Oh no, he's got a little weird bug. That's okay, guys. As you know, Ashes is a work in progress.
They're going to
There are
remind
gonna
us
be
every
little
once in a
bugs
while
you might
that
see
it's a
here
work in
and there,
progress.
and we show you the good,
Visually,
the bad,
you know?
and the ugly. Okay. Time for you to go to sleep forever. There we go.
So
He's
you
down.
respawn.
I apologize, guys. You guys can see, some bugs here or there. As you know, we are working towards Alpha 2. There are going to be some bugs, but Brian, talk to me a little bit about the weapon skill tree for the wand.
Yeah, so we've given this a big pass. What you're looking at here is 7 different ways to customize your weapon. So you can customize the length of your weapon combo. You can customize what your finisher attacks are. In this case, you've specialized them into beam attacks, and you've also increased their damage and their proc rate. What you're looking at there is a status effect proc choice. So every combo hit you do has a chance to proc that status effect. Chilled is a good synergy for your build since you're using a lot of lightning and fire spells. Having the ability to weave a chilled in there is good, like from a hybrid perspective.
And obviously those types of choices are relevant, right? Because you have a lot of horizontal choices possible in your weapon progression that is intended to be spec'd to complement what your ability selections are within the archetype or the class.
Correct. So right now you're spec'd for a heavy beam focus. There's not much proc synergy going on yet because you haven't unlocked deeper procs. It's just all beam damage.
All beams.
Yeah. So on the right side is weapon combo, like the right side of the tree in general is weapon combo progression and synergy within the weapon combo, and the left side of the tree is the procs that you get from the weapon combo. So the upper left of the tree would have a 2 procs that you can choose from that synergize really well with on weapon combo and hit. So every time you complete a combo, you'll be able to, in the upper left, every time you complete a combo, you'll be able to get one of these effects. On a normal combo, it's a 25% chance to get it, but on a beam, it's every time. And that gives, one of them gives additional damage on hit, and the other one reduces the cooldown of the next spell that you cast. So it gives you that nice benefit. Every time you go back into your combo, you'll get something out of it, either just massive damage with this, or you'll get the combo synergy as well.
Now, obviously, a lot of people in the community have been discussing kind of the, combat strategy and approach.
Sounds
in Ashes of
basic,
Creation,
but I mean,
blending between what is your weapon progression and your class progression.
not necessarily bad.
And this is something that obviously we are looking to receive feedback on in Alpha 2. That's a very important component of Alpha 2's gameplay, is to kind of, collect what the players feel about that moment-to-moment gameplay, weaving between your skill rotation and your weapon use. As you can see, we are investing a lot of diversity, options, and choice within these individual weapons, and players can choose any number of weapons and progress them as they see fit to complement their different types of rotations they'll have access to.
Yeah, each one of these weapons will have a unique progression associated with it. So you'll be able to level up a bunch of them, and they'll level at about like 2.5 times speed. Don't quote me on that, of a normal adventuring level progression. So you'll be able to keep multiples of them leveled up and swap between them.
Okay. So that's kind of what I asked earlier.
Update to
But
the.
I don't know if that
to
means
the
we'll be able to swap
ability
to them in combat.
Arcane
I hope
Volley.
not.
I think it looks great. Steven did a great job with that.
I like when
lightning
kits
updates
are
as
like
well, obviously.
a chosen
And
thing,
as
not
we
a
showed previously, the
split thing.
fireball with 3 successive attacks. Let us know what you guys feel about that as well. I really think it feels good. Let me see if I can find a little dude to try out some of this. Yeah, go ahead.
As you've been casting abilities here, you'll notice that the effects on your weapon are swapping back and forth between different elemental effects. That's signifying that your elemental empowerment status is swapping back and forth, and we've updated elemental empowerment. Now, whenever you finish a combo, it applies the appropriate status effect to the elemental empowerment.
Oh, so wands take
that
on.
Beam. That beam felt good.
Oh, that actually might be something to do with mage,
Yeah, the
though.
beams
Huh?
are really, really sick.
Can you use magic weapons on melee,
I
like
love
on
that
like
all the
non-magic
projectiles
classes? I
and
wonder.
beams change with the elemental empowerment.
I don't remember if they ever mentioned if every class will have every weapon, but I could have sworn they said something to that, similar to that effect.
Oh, it feels really good.
That's probably just
Yeah,
me misremembering, though.
There's
so.
a lot of different customization considerations that we are taking into account
I
when we're
think the
setting up
fighter with a
skill tree.
wand probably isn't a thing.
You may want
As an
to
example.
complete one weapon combo and get back.
Or
into
maybe
your
it will be if
abilities
you
rather
have the right
quickly.
archetype.
That's kind of what you're set up here, which is
Second
big
archetype,
damage,
brother.
and not a lot of procs at low chance taken. You could take some higher, more
Actually, yeah,
guaranteed
fuck, I guess
proc
that does
chance
kinda
and
make
still
sense,
have
huh?
that choice. That's another customization axis. You might want to synergize your ability rotation with weapon procs. Also, you have the status effect application choice. In this case, you're choosing to take something that doesn't synergize with your abilities and instead taking something else that you wouldn't normally have access to easily in your rotation.
I don't recall seeing that one before.
But
That's
you
cool.
could choose to instead double down on burning and really want to provide a lot of that avenue of status effects for your party, or double down on the electrified, or rather we call it volatile now, that status effect, because that's the role that you're playing in your party. And one thing to keep in mind too is the wand isn't just available to mages, so you could be a cleric or a bard using this, and you want to set up your mage buddy with more tier 1 status effects so that they can capitalize on that and really bring down big damage every time that they're activating one of their abilities.
Basically, a damage component
I also
to
love the elemental
supporting,
power effect
if you
on
so
the
chose.
weapons. And those of you who are wondering, this set that you see here is the Carfin robe set. Oh, let's stay away from that bazooka.
I hate the look of it.
come over here.
But like on an enemy, it would be right at
Moving into
place.
the more undead territory.
I would never wear it.
But those of you
But
who are
I
wondering,
would
as I said,
be-
this
I
is
would gladly
the,
beat
this
the
is
shit out of
Carphin
someone
robe
wearing it.
set. I think it does look great. Character team did a phenomenal job with this set. And obviously the lighting and the materials look really good. I'm loving it. No! No!
Steven gonna die again?
You were not supposed to chase me. Let's put you to sleep. And then perhaps we will light you on fire with this magma ability and see how that goes.
Yeah, we did a pass on all these fire abilities. Noah did a great job with those.
Oh no,
It's the
bug again.
berserkers. It must be something with them.
I'm sorry, guys.
I feel like ball lightning is one of those weird
It
spells
looks like a walking billboard.
where it's not really good if something's aggroed to you.
Yeah,
It's like
they
better
did-
for
they
launching
did
into a
great job
group
with the effects.
that's
I think
pulled
they
by
look-
your
they
tank.
look phenomenal.
So that they can
Now
pulse a
obviously
couple of
that's-
times on multiple enemies.
Lighting never really stops getting improved, right? And
I don't know, they should make it stop
talk
on
to me
enemy.
a little bit about Chris, Gabe, Todd, how that works with VFX, right? How does that work with the game in general as lighting gets updated? You know, what are the repercussions that, you know, we need to update VFX on, and how easy is that to do?
Yeah, so one of the repercussions we're going to run into as we kind of roll out the rest of the day-night cycle. At nighttime, it's not as big of a problem because the values are so much lower. But as we part of our update process has been moving the lighting to what we call physically based lighting, which really just means we're trying to, as accurately as possible, portray the sun values and sky values as close to the real world as possible. Which means that the VFX, especially with something like a caster or with magic, they need to still be visible in the game world during, you know, all times of day when the sun is 85,000, you know, units. So that definitely falls onto the VFX
Lighting
team.
can be
to kinda
better
keep up
on
with that.
enemies, but it still looks
and
pretty good.
I know that they have some, you know, some tricks within the engine that they've set up to kind of account for that. But Todd could probably speak better to what the ramifications are of us doing this very large overhaul on their end.
Oh boy, can I! Not to get too technical, we have in the materials a material function that will automatically adjust the brightness of emissive particles to adapt to how much your in-game eye is reacting to the light or lack of light. And what that means is, at night you can have something that's really bright, but it won't blind you, but you'll still be able to see it during the day. We can also invert that. We can have it so that effects are more visible throughout the day and the night, and they don't change depending on the incoming light. Yeah, as we adjust the lighting in the game, we're going to be relying on that, and we may have to tweak it a bit because you really don't want to have the player blinded by the particles that he's throwing around. You want it to look real, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, as with, you know, all of game development, it's a team effort, but materials, lighting, and VFX are definitely all need to march on the same cadence. And so Todd and I have spent a lot of time, you know, back and forth with VFX that he's been putting together and making sure that it works within the lighting. And a lot of my job is making sure he has what he needs to, you know, make sure that his VFX work and look good across, you know, all times of day and all different sun intensities as it goes from day to night. So.
Oh no. I woke up the undead ones. I do love that beam.
Oh,
Yeah,
so these guys got something to do with.
I really love how it turned out. The tech involved in
Undead.
setting up the projectiles and beams.
I don't recall the forest ones
passing
having that.
through
River ones
parameters and adjusting the appearance of the projectiles and beams dynamically. This allows for us to have a more precise timing and allows us to reuse the assets a bit more smartly. Instead of having to make a bunch of different assets for different use conditions, we can make one asset and change it dynamically to fit many different use cases. One example in the wand tree is the beam amplifier passive. When you get back-to-back beams, not only is their damage increased by 50%, but the appearance of the beam gets upgraded. Usually as devs, we would need to employ a lot of smoke and mirrors to get particle effects to work in a bunch of different use conditions, typically by having many things timed out in concert to give the desired result and changing that timing based on different situations. With this parameter tech, we have the ability to control things in a much more direct and responsive way than usual, which results in a higher fidelity product.
You know what else I love? I mean, just sitting here, kind of. When I was a younger lad, I used to go out to the Imperial County line here in California, out near Ocotillo Wells, and go camping out under the night sky where there's no city lights to infringe upon the beautiful views.
I like
and
the
of
way
course
it
we would
frames
take,
the moons.
Random
If he wasn't in
stuffed
frame, this would be
animals doused in
perfect
gasoline
wallpaper
and filled with
shot.
black powder and blow them up and have paintball fights and do quads and shit. But just sitting here looking at this tree out in the desert with the skybox, I mean, it's very immersive. I think you guys have captured a really great kind of essence of that immersive environment and world that you just kind of want to spend time in and explore.
Yes, also hope, right?
Oh no,
yeah.
he's lagging.
Absolutely. Love it. Absolutely love it. So, those of you out there in the community, this has been an update, obviously, on some of the wand changes, some of the mage updates as well. Oh, let me just dispatch this guy.
He was coming through my mic a little bit.
Real quick.
I don't know if I think you guys heard
This
it, but
risen soldier, we will send him back from whence he came. He can go to sleep.
Oh, I think the lightning clipped with the ground there, didn't it?
We also saw, obviously, the beautiful sand squall desert.
Am I crazy? I
Now,
thought I
of
saw
course,
it shoot
biomes require a lot of
dune there.
work to be finished,
But
especially from a content
The
creation
curve where it goes
standpoint.
into the water.
When it comes to quest lines, narratives,
Might
points
have
of
reflected
interest.
off the water,
But
maybe.
as you can see, heading into Alpha 2, a lot of work has been done kind of standing up these basic biomes that we will have populated with content for people to participate in. The Riverlands, of course, being the bulk of that content. Oh my gosh, hey buddy. Let's have you go to sleep. Oh, he interrupted that. Hold on.
That's actually
Okay.
fucking funny.
I'm just gonna
dude,
kill all
Steven-
these
he's
things
screwed
real
now.
quick, and then we're gonna try this sign off one more time.
He didn't have a target.
Let's see if we can do it. Let's put him back to sleep first. And we'll do our updated lightning ball, requested by the community.
I don't know how I feel about it. I know
Very
people
nice.
want it and they like the way it is,
The
but like,
nighttime sky.
if I had a chance
being
to
updated,
not
obviously,
pick it, I probably
to
wouldn't.
support our constellation system,
I
but
don't
also
know.
to sell
I don't like ball
that
lightning very
fantasy
much.
that is the world of Vera, because there is a beautiful
Like, it looks
story
cool.
to tell, and it is fantastical. And
Doesn't
obviously, the work
function as
that's
cool
going
as I
into
want it to,
updating our
though.
lighting, as you can see here with the nighttime lighting pass, I think you guys have hit it spot on. But of course, we do this so that we can get your feedback, and what we want you guys to discuss on all of the things that you've seen here today, between the weapon progression tree for the wand. How do you feel about those options, both the horizontal options, the vertical options, as well as what we're trying to sell with the wand fantasy, and how it interacts with abilities that you are going to be speccing into your classes. How you feel about the beam. I really think the beam is cool. And also what you guys think about the nighttime lighting, what you think about the night sky, and the beautiful biome that we are in. All of this matters to us very much. We take that into consideration when we do iterations. Brian, Todd, Gabe, and Chris, thank you very much for joining me. I had a great time walking through all of these beautiful updates to the game, as I know our community has. You guys are doing phenomenal work. very, very honored to have you on tonight's stream.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Happy to be here.
All right, we will see you all back on stream. Bye, everybody.
I'm not sure how I feel about that showcase. I mean, not every showcase can be like god tier. So there's nothing wrong with them having like a mediocre one, but
Hello, welcome back. While we're chatting,
the
we
framing
have
on the video is
kind of
off.
playing in the background.
That's that's hurting the head
Kind of check
a
that
little bit.
out. There were some questions. It seems like generally people are liking the nighttime lighting, but of course, definitely send us your feedback. We'll be compiling that for the development team. But there were some questions that were in chat. We had like the YouTube chat going, we had the Discord chat going, we had the Twitch chat. We're in all the places. Our community team's pretty awesome, and they've already grabbed some stuff. Not as many as normal, but for this one, people are wondering, how will weapon combos work when the weapon doesn't necessarily fit the archetype? For instance, if I'm a mage and I want to use a bow, how will that work?
Yeah, I mean, so right now the way we're approaching weapons is that you have 2 dedicated slots. Excuse me, actually, technically you have 3 dedicated slots. You have a ranged weapon,
You
you
can
have an
weapon swap.
offhand, and a main hand, and you can toggle between your ranged or your melee. When you use an ability,
He is so
depending on
quiet.
the type of ability, it will immediately swap to the appropriate equipment slot and then swap back once the ability is completed. When it comes to kind of the versatility of each of these archetypes being able to spec, different types of weapons, that is a customization option that's going to be essentially players can make bad choices, right? We're letting players make choices that may not mix as well as other choices, and that's okay. It presents some interesting, horizontal options to the player. But at the same time, there is going to be something for each archetype or class that's present within each of the weapon skill trees. So, excuse me. So if you're choosing to use a bow or you're choosing to use any type of weapon, you're going to have options within that skill tree. And by the way, just to kind of comment a little bit on, this showcase, our goal here was to
Now
kind of
he's
have a
louder.
lot of little updates within one video. Next month, we're going to have a very big showcase around a very big feature. But this month, we wanted to kind of update the community on how we took feedback across a number of smaller updates and kind of collect what you guys think about those changes, which to me seemed like it was very positive. You guys agree with the lighting position, the wand updates, and the mage updates.
I mean,
And we'll kind of be alternating. We'll be doing some things where we're trying to get their feedback on like smaller pieces,
it looks
and some will
cool.
be bigger pieces. So
I like
just
it.
kind of stick around with us. We got a lot to show. We got a lot to
I'm still a
share,
little
and a lot of
sad that we
things that
didn't
want
get to see the
feedback on.
rogue or
So this
like one
next
of the
one
other
is,
features
will
that we're
spell
like
effects light up
anticipating,
and
like or even
reflect
the
off of
bard.
the environment in the same color or appearance as the spell?
Some spells will. It kind of depends on the spell. Right now, we are talking obviously, leading into Alpha 2, we're going to be starting to focus on more performance with regards to both the client and the network. Some of those lights can be expensive. We're going to probably be introducing more light effects that spawn off of the particles for the surrounding environment, but perhaps don't cast shadows. We'll be seeing about that over the course of the next few weeks or so, and probably we'll have an update either within the next within the next month or the month thereafter.
Okay. And the next one here is, once the transition from light to dark starts, how long will it take? Are we willing to share that with folks yet?
Probably not set
Yeah,
in stone
we're
yet,
talking about
right?
generally like sunset or sunrise. That will probably last anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes or so to see that transition between night and day.
People are going to get some cool time lapses. I think it's going to be fun.
So if we
Yes.
double that
The
time,
next one is,
let's go.
will there
Let's
be
lowball that. All right, so 10 and
interactions
10.
between elements? Like if you cast a water-based spell followed by a lightning spell, will this increase damage taken by mobs?
Absolutely.
10
That is
dusk and
the
dawn for dusk and
fundamental
dawn each. 20 for
interaction
day and night
between
each.
abilities is
That would be an
that
hour
you set them
per.
up and
So
you
every
knock them
hour is
down,
a day.
right? And this is kind
A
of
full day
keyword
cycle?
It's kind of part
interactions
of our
that
status effect stuff. We different
absolutely.
abilities put status effects on creatures, and then you
I
can
think it's
exploit
pretty
those.
solid.
Yeah,
And not
some
only
of
you
those
can exploit that, anybody who's fighting with you can exploit them.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, the
As long as
intent
they don't
is
do
to provide a
day-based
environment
events.
where parties can execute
Dark Age had like
well
I think like
or
2-hour
again
day
execute
cycles.
badly, in those setups,
And they use
right?
those cycles for events and
And
shit. So
that's, I think,
like
what makes for compelling
persistent
gameplay.
events, not like you think
And
of an
then
event
the
today, I
next one
guess.
here is how easy is it to level weapon skill trees? So if I'm starting, like how much time is it going to take for me to like progress and kind of spec these
Yeah,
things out?
that's 100% something that we're going to be
There's
testing as part of
like a
Alpha
little
2,
bug just flew in
obviously.
front of my face.
But our initial finger in the wind is going to be that it's roughly 3
He
times
saw his
faster,
friend on
2
screen
to
just a
3
moment
times
ago.
faster for you to maximize the leveling of a particular weapon skill tree versus that of your adventuring level. So it is chunky. There's still some amount of time that needs to be dedicated in order to fully execute on,
The
that
desert looks
progression.
neat too. I forgot to mention
But it
about that
is
earlier.
it's not as long as the adventuring class.
All right.
I really
And
hope there is a
with
like a
weapon
large
leveling,
dune
does
area
it
that just has
mean you will
nothing in it.
level per weapon
I
type,
know people
or
fucking hate
will
that.
it be per
I feel like
weapon? And
everyone
if
always
I
talks
get a
about they
better
hate that.
wand, for
Fucking
example,
love
will I
that
still
shit.
have to level that up again?
Yeah, it's weapon type. So if you start advancing within the wand class of weapons, you will persist that progression across all wands that you acquire.
Cool. And then I'm going to grab actually a question from the forums that kind of pertains to wand slash mage stuff. This is from Jibs IRL asking about spell slinging. Where does the team pull inspiration from for wand weapon combo VFX?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, obviously wands vary
Other
across
fantasy?
a large variety of different fantasy stories that have been told throughout time. And we kind of collect inspiration from all of them, right? In the way that we are either animating the wand attacks, in the way that we are, selling the visual effects fantasy for the wand
I
projectiles.
mean, everybody knows where
That
where
beam is
everybody knows
something that
where
um,
the first
in the
place
past
when
we
you
kind of
talk
moved
wand
away
comes
from,
from.
but this time around we thought that Siva would do a great job in authoring the effects for that, and it felt good in playtesting, so we wanted to show that off to the community.
And I think we have one more that came in
I don't
last
think if
minute,
there's
and then
anything
we'll
other than Harry
be
Potter that's very
on our.
wand
This will be
heavy
our
in its
penultimate
theming.
one. Do we know whether there might be magic connected to time or time of day slash night, like
Holy shit, it's a
magical
dream
rites or
cycler.
rituals that can only be casted
Thanks to the prime
during certain
mister.
times or effects?
Yeah, there is definitely magic that relates to time. There is actually a god of time, um,
Oh,
and so, hold on, let me see if I can. It
She
might
was
be
bringing up
something that
design decks.
I know. I was about to see if I wanna reference it. Well, we haven't
We haven't
finalized that
talked a
per
lot about
se.
that stuff.
Yeah, probably not. But there is obviously a god of time. There is the ageless warden, who is the goddess of time, Eterna. And there are elements in gameplay that we want to incorporate when it is relevant to cast certain types of spells.
Cool, cool. And this is the last one. It's not really or it's not really a weapon combo or lighting specific, but I think this is something that we get quite often, which is when we see other archetypes. So we've shown off a few of them.
honestly.
People are wondering about Bard, Summoner, and Rogue
Oh, okay.
specifically.
The Bard is is currently in phase 2 of its development, which is essentially finalizing its visual effects. And we will probably have a showcase for Bard within the next few months.
Exciting, exciting. People are gonna
That's all
get
he said.
hyped. We did
Where's
do a little
Rogue?
teaser
Come on now.
a few streams ago. That was really
He's
funny.
doing it on
Obviously
purpose at this
jokes,
point.
but hopefully people enjoyed it. We have definitely been working on Bard stuff. And of course, we do have a feedback thread over on our Midnight Magic preview action. So if you haven't
He
checked that
has
out,
to. He has to
feel free
showcase
to head
Rogue
on over to our
somewhat soon
forums
now.
and give us your feedback. We
We
would
have to
love to hear
know
it.
how
Our
stealth will
team
work.
does an amazing job of putting together feedback reports, and the development team goes over those and ensures that we're on the right page. So hopefully, your initial feedback to us in regards to nighttime, you're seeing some updates from reading so far on the platforms that we're on right now. It seems like you all are kind of happy with the direction that we're going, but do let us know your thoughts. And of course, on the wand weapon combos, let us know your thoughts on that. And we will have some more videos coming with some other specs and stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested, follow us in all the places at Ashes of Creation. And with that, we will swap over to our studio update, talk a little bit about how the studio is doing, and maybe also expand on some of the other stuff that we're working on. Because I mentioned it earlier, we are working on a lot of things simultaneously. I'm not going to have Steven
Yeah.
list them all out. We'll be here all
No,
day.
I was gonna say, what are you asking me to do here? It's like I'm going through everything. Yeah, studio update. We have had a lot of people join the studio over the course of this last month.
That's exciting.
I believe we've probably had around 10 to 12 or so people who've joined over the last month.
Honestly,
And I
Yeah,
think we have
we probably
another
can
we have
look.
another we have
any
another
news that is, yo, Ash's
7 or
creation
8
is
that are
coming
joining in the
sooner,
next month.
even
So
if it's only by a magnitude
studio's
of
growing.
days, is probably good
Obviously,
news.
you know, with nearly 200 people now in the studio, we have a lot that's going
13
on across the
in
13.
April.
Wow.
I have 13 emails at least.
Nice. So we have a lot that's going on right now. It is definitely production mayhem as we are coordinating all of this, all of the work that needs to be done. But yeah, no, things are going well. Things are going very well. We had a lot of progress that's been made towards our node war system, which people are going to be seeing within the next month. Node wars are obviously a big repeatable loop of
Yeah, true.
gameplay that is going to be central to Alpha 2, and it taxes our network. We've had a
Really,
lot
I
of
think what's gonna
optimization efforts, both
death
as
knell
part of the playtesting that
or speed it
PI
along
has been a
more
part
is
of,
whether or not Alpha
helping
2
us to
actually
kind of
does what they needed to.
profile some of that network work that needs to
If it
be
just ends up being
done
like a
from a
market test
optimization standpoint, but
and they don't
also
really get the data that they want or need,
some of the
um,
client side
it'll slow development down and we'll
optimization
probably still
that
be
Zach
like
Mallet has
5
been
years out, but
spearheading. A lot of progress made on all of
hoping
those
and
fronts.
praying that it
We are
somehow
currently
speeds
in
dev
milestone 9.
time. We get it within like 2 years.
And within milestone 9, we will be feature complete when it comes to our entrance criteria for Alpha 2. And in milestone 10, we will be polishing and essentially, making that stuff ready from a player perspective for
Bug
Alpha 2.
fixing.
And bug fixing is a big part of that, obviously. So we'll be squashing lots of bugs. We'll need some fly swatters at the studio from the community if you want to send some over. Um, but yeah, no, there's a lot of great progress, a lot
Don't tease
of
them,
work being
Stephen. They
done.
will. They want to help.
Yeah,
They're
I
like, let
know.
me in. I will find the bugs for you.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's some
You're going to
truth to
find
that.
plenty of bugs in Alpha 2. Again, like Steven said, it's an alpha. There's going to be bugs, and we'll have a way for you to report them as well. I think we had over 9,000, although like 6,000 of those were like dupes from Alpha 1. But hey, we did resolve a lot of those issues. So thank you all for reporting them. We appreciated it. Um, yeah. Anything else you want to
Dupes
bring up
as in
studio update
duplicate
wise? I think on the
reports of
hiring front, the only
bugs,
thing I want
or
to bring
dupes
up
as
is
in
that we do
bugs
have a
that
lot of
were
engineering roles
duplicating
and a
things.
combat design role that are like our big roles that we've been we need more help finding the right candidate for. So if you
Yes.
know people in those engineering roles or
I
in the
suppose if there was
combat
6,000
design role,
duping
definitely
bugs,
send them our
I'm glad they
way.
got rid of
You know,
them.
we're picky.
They're aware of them at
We're
least.
trying to find the right people
Don't
that
want
fit
a
our
new
culture
world
as well as the
2
skills that we're
electric
looking
boogaloo on our
for.
hands there.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback on that as well, like we have, I don't know, I think we had like 4 or 5,000 applicants
Oh, for the
last month.
junior design one too.
No, it's just like there is a lot. We're getting a lot of interest, obviously, which is great. We love it. We want it. But if you are one of those people who have applied, be patient as we kind of screen through and excuse me, and go through the
Suffering from
application
success
status.
over there.
It could sometimes take a week or two for your application to kind of get processed.
Cameron's been powering through. I want to give a shout out to him. He's been killing it. It's a lot of candidates to go through. And I know that on the social front, Peter has been messaging people on LinkedIn as well, letting you guys know that, hey, just be patient with us. We are doing our best. We're trying to power through them. Like you said, there's a lot of candidates to go through and we're not just like moving them along, right? We read your cover letter. We look over your resume. We look over the answers to the questions that you put forward, and then we kind of delve deep into who you are to before we like even go through an interview process with you. So it is
Absolutely.
time consuming, and you will never ever get a message from us on a social platform about your job. It will always come from our like professional means. So if you do not get a response from us in that way, then it might be fake. So do not get scammed. I know there's a lot of
Ashes
hiring
of
scams out
Creation
there. And with that,
job
move
interview
over
scam.
to our art update. The first one here is we have some chef outfits.
Was that them or me?
Ooh.
That looks
We've-
cool.
It was definitely not you guys. I heard it.
This is
So.
a chef.
Yeah, so we've got two different chef ones. We've got the gingham chef female outfit and the male one. I'll show you both of those.
Why don't you be
And,
like, Windows is now
these
closing?
are artisan
But
ship,
if I disappear,
Yep.
gear.
nothing
Yeah.
popped up though, so I don't know.
Yeah, so those of you who are
There's been a lot of artisan buildings too and stuff being made.
Yeah.
It's looking pretty cool.
a lot of the artisanship professions have associated gear that you can acquire, which improve your artisanship profession skills if you wear them while you are
Let's go.
if you wear them while you are performing your profession actions.
BDO.
Well,
And
what?
Arcade
Give
had
us
them
your
too,
feedback
actually.
on
Yeah.
it.
It's probably more akin to
I see
Arcade.
some
So.
people's commenting. Obviously, it's not finished. These are the model phases.
Sculpts, yeah.
Yeah, sculpts of it. And then we've got the Storm Snapper. So if any of y'all
Yay.
grabbed
Fucking-
that,
is that
this bad boy has a model
fucking
now.
Turtle with a
Looking
telescope on its
awesome. I
back.
feel like it's very fitting for the nighttime sky because he's got a little stargazing device on there, which is pretty cool.
Hey, that model looks so true to the concept.
I know it's a little
It
creepy.
looks great. I
If
think
you look at it, you're like, is that
I'm
concept?
not sure
No,
where
that's
the
a
fuck
model.
the idea for
yeah,
that comes
Jincy
from, but
made that,
Jesus
and she
fucking
made a
Christ.
couple variants for that turtle too that I thought looked great.
Yeah. And then
Going back to
Sam
the desert.
and Danny worked on the chef stuff.
Pretty
And
much.
then Sam worked on some gear, so we'll look over those. These are like
I
kind of
know
gear
Hydra's
progression for
actually actively
Renkai. I
playing.
know we've got a lot of Renkai lovers out there, so there's
and I was
heavy gear
tempted to.
progression, light, and medium. And obviously,
So it
this
really
is
just
just
depends.
kind of sketching the concepts of like how we're building them out. This isn't necessarily final, but very cool. You can kind of see where we're headed with like the progression of tier 1 gear all the way to tier 5 and the different complexities of tier 5 gear. So
Looks great.
hopefully
So-
people are
Sam did a
liking
great
that.
job there.
I'm curious about PAX Day's early access
And then
next month.
last, we've
whether or not
got
it's gonna be
actually
worth
some
playing.
more architecture stuff. It is Alien building details.
Black
So
Desert might
Joe
be
worked on
early or
these, and
short-lived,
it's
rather.
they're very elegant.
If we do go back now,
Yeah, those look great.
or at least
too.
for me. I mean,
Great
you guys
job
don't
with
have to
these.
stop playing if I stop.
This is all the filigree that's going to accompany much of the Aelin rune sets that are incorporated across different parts of the former Aelin Empire. Obviously, these cultures had a lot of time to develop their own unique art styles that you can see kind of represented there with the lion's heads and the lion bodies, obviously as a core, figure within the Aelin history. Looks great.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. And then we've got our Q&A segment, which I'll play the video of the Midnight Magic action whilst we go over some of those questions really quick-sies. And then there's one other thing I want to grab, so I'm going to grab that really quick. Okay. So our first question here is from Nikras, and they want to know about castle NPCs. What level are the mobs in NPC occupied castles?
They are level 50.
Level
They
50.
are max. They might be level 55. We'll see.
Make a little
but
challenge.
yeah.
Cool. And the next one here is from Casti, and they want to know about freehold props. Will players be able to raise flags or banners on their personal freehold lots and buildings? And I know we've talked a little bit about flags and
Raise
banners
your
and
guild
things like
banner.
that, but
Yeah, 100%. That is a definite inclusion with regards to props that you can place within homes and within freeholds for you to display your colors.
all right. And then the next question here is about RNG exposed, and it is from Anion, and they want to know, will RNG probabilities for artisanship professions and drop rates be made public?
In some, some might and some might not. It just kind of depends, right? It depends on what we're talking about specifically. Yeah.
Can you
And
talk a
then
little bit about what might be visible?
you will likely see the percentage chance of success when it comes to enchanting particular armors and or weapons when you attempt to make the enchantment choice. You may see the successful completion of your crafting result when attempting to excuse me, the chance of successful completion for crafting results when you attempt to craft risky things. But what you might not see are going to be drop chances. There's going to be, variance within those drop chances as well. Um, it just kind of depends. It's kind of all over the place when it comes to econ in general.
All right. Cool, cool. And then we've got mayoral politics. This one's spicy. Hugh Jordan wants to know, it was mentioned that an elected mayor can give insider information on upcoming commissions. What prevents a mayor offering very high rewards for very low returns? Could this siphon off
actual
known
money?
resources and be open to abuse? I mean, you voted them in. Or, well, no, this is
You voted them
for
in. It's on you.
economic.
So the question is, what prevents a mayor
Yeah, probably.
from
Yeah.
manipulating the
The
purchase
commission
option
systems. Yeah.
for this is probably more relevant to buy orders, I would say. And the intent is that the mayor does have the ability to influence what those purchase prices and buy order types are. That's a power that comes with being elected or winning the election result. Now, what you do is going to determine if you stay in office, probably, depending, of course, on the election type.
No, I think
But there are some
guilds are gonna
safeguards
have
with
puppet
regards
mayors.
to
honestly,
how much the player can
There'll
manipulate.
be
I think
options that they
There
they
are
don't
choosing
really.
from. Yeah.
Right,
I don't know if
and
they
there are also
anticipate that,
clamps on setting purchase prices and whatnot.
but I
So
believe it's going to be more
that's
big
important. There
guilds
are
that
some
are going to run
there are
mayorship,
some rails there.
and they're just going to have a
Okay.
puppet or
This
their
next one
guild
kind of
leader or
falls in
something.
line with it too, which is from Falcath, which wants to know about diabolical elections.
For better or for
What
worse,
stops
that doesn't
a
have to be a bad
player
thing. But
from an enemy node bidding on your economic node mayoral election just to grief it after they get elected?
Only citizens can bid on the economic node
Yeah, but let's
election
say
type.
I was previously a citizen of another node. I really want that node to succeed. So I renounce my election or my citizenship, become a citizen of another node. And now my goal is to infiltrate that node, right? Like take over it, use my money to be able to become mayor and basically tank it so that my other
That
node, my friends over here can take over.
well, that sounds like a strategy.
good,
Part of the
good.
game
I
of
like that
Halo.
response.
That's Steven's
Yeah,
in
I
for
was
it.
gonna say that sounds like a strategy. There are obviously going to be certain mechanics that when a mayor engages with its node requires requires buy-in from the citizenship. So, the mayor is going to have a certain amount of mandate energy. And that mandate
There
energy
should
can be
be a level
spent
of risk to who
on,
you vote in.
promoting certain
You should have to do your due
policies, electing
diligence,
certain
honestly.
buildings to be constructed, choosing certain
And if you don't,
trade
and you
agreements and
and your
alliances.
node takes the L for it,
And many of
well,
those things
that's on
require the
everybody.
citizenship to
Everybody
kind
fucked
of
up.
buy on through either voting or engaging with those systems to determine whether or not the mayor can successfully do those things. So there's a bit of a relationship between what the citizenship wants and what the mayor wants.
Our next one here
I'm really
is
glad they're
want
taking
to
that approach
buy
to dev,
dungeon runs or
not just
WTB, and this is from
banning people
Lloyd.
for
Will open world dungeons have a
every
negative
little
feedback
interaction.
loop for those who are bussing or carrying dungeons for lower level players? So
Negative feedback loop.
yeah,
What
will I
do
be
we
able
mean by
to
that?
kind of, if I'm, you're a newbie and I'm like, hey, I'll take you over here and you can pay me some gold and I'll level you up.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Get you
She
yes.
some
makes it
fat
sound
gear.
So generally,
so back alley.
there is a level disparity mechanic that prevents players who are outside of 9 to 10 levels of the highest level within the party from collecting experience through their
I think Arcade had something like that too, didn't it?
adventuring. So to
I
some
can't
degree,
remember.
there is a safeguard with regards
That's
to
a
that.
common one, anyways. I've seen it before at the very least.
And then obviously, the way that we cater the experience, the encounter experience, um, depending on those locations, are going to
Where
require
if you
that
were
a
in a
party is
party with someone too high
operating
of a level,
at
you
a
just
high
wouldn't get
efficiency
EXP.
level in order for them, in order for it to be efficient
But
for
I'm
that
starting
lower
to think
level
it was just
player
that you couldn't get
to
EXP from things
participate
that were 10
in
levels over
game
you. I think
levels
it's actually how it worked.
in
So
a
I
way
might
that
be wrong
makes
on that.
sense, right? So I think there are some safeguards with regards to that. And the other thing is that, like, if you're paying other players to power level you, or you're engaging in any type of like RMT, we have behavioral heat mapping, which will help us identify those individuals and take action.
Yeah, we'll have customer service who are looking over those reports every morning and going through and
Oh,
looking,
okay. So they're gonna have their
investigating.
customer service work
And
on
then our next one here
determining
is new
RMT.
user
I feel like that's
experience
something a
from
lot of fucking
Patterson.
games should
What
do
is
and just
your
don't.
approach from a UX standpoint for new players to easily understand the complexity of systems through
Oh, I kind of want you to play
Activation's
Ninja because
UI
I think that'd
instead
be
of
really,
resorting to
really interesting to
external
see.
player means?
Yeah.
But I think you'd probably like Sork
So
more.
we do intend to have, and this is for entrance criteria of Alpha 2,
I'm
trigger
probably gonna do
response
Scholar,
when players
maybe.
engage with certain systems for the first time, or when they are entering a certain area for the first time, or entering a node for the first time, that they will be able to kind of be prompted with information about how they should go about first time user experience sort of thing. That is going to obviously help orient players to the different systems within the game, because there are many. Um, yeah, that's a relatively standard approach that we're taking as well.
And then our next one here is from Kadak, and they want to know about PvP testing. Performance in various PvP systems, such
Oh
as
yeah.
Caravan, Arenas, and Guild Wars, is said to be measured over the course of 6-month PvP seasons. How will this be measured during Alpha 2, considering there will be server wipes? And I do want to be clear that our goal is to not have server wipes in Alpha 2. We want to
Yes.
have persistence. That is the point of the persistence. We may have times where we come down for updates and things like that, but the goal is to not wipe if we don't have to. We will if we have to.
Yeah. So entrance criteria for Alpha 2 will be that we have Guild Wars and that we have Node Wars. And we will be keeping score of those things, and
I
players will
swear,
be able
Guild
to
Wars
see those
ruined me
scores.
on hearing that
We will
hearing that
likely
phrase.
not have the season update until after Alpha 2 begins, probably in a 2.1 or 2.2 update for Alpha 2. The goal
Don't hold
there
us
is
to those
obvious.
numbers.
I know. The goal there is obviously that players can rinse clean kind of the history in the season, and start fresh. Whether or not those will be 6 month, I think that's the goal of Alpha 2, is to help test that. It might be shorter than that, but the intent is to have a system that provides ability to kind of track your wins and losses, and to have those wiped fresh on some cadence.
And Alpha 2 is going to be a longer testing period. So
Mhm.
prepare yourself for
Yeah.
that. And then Voxtrium wants to know about development tools. Are the development tools that are needed to help with world building and game assets completed? And I will let you know, development tools never end. You're constantly
Yeah,
adding and,
I was,
and making new ones.
I was gonna say, even for games, that have been launched for a while, the tools are constantly getting touched up and changed. I would say that no, our tools are not completed. Obviously, what completes them, you know, tools are kind of stood up, generally bare bones fashion, and then they get updates and updates and updates and make the life of the user who's utilizing those tools easier after there's response from the developer, who's the customer, and the author of the tool. That's a back and forth that's just continually happening. um, there are some tools that will require some iteration depending on what we see during testing as well. So our tools team is hard at work, continuing to provide updates to the existing tools for the developers, as well as creating more tools.
All right. And our last question, which is from Placid Moose, wants to know about resource sinks. Are mounts and the animal husbandry profession intended to have the same scarcity or resource sinks that other in game items and professions may have?
Mounts themselves are not, unless we're talking about flying mounts, And then the animal husbandry, absolutely, there's a lot of sinks in animal husbandry. But when you create a mount and that mount exists, that mount is not going to disappear, at the end of a lifespan or, be killed. You will be able to revive it.
All right. And that is it for our questions. But if
I
you
mean,
have
that's a
more
good question to ask,
questions,
but I think that's
Stephen
kind of
is going to
obvious.
be doing an AMA.
Be a bit weird if they did it any differently, right?
With some wonderful content creators, Vladis, Nice Gaming, Sunny from Loreforged, and Jamie Chaos. So we would love for you guys to tune into that. That will be live right here, twitch.tv/Ashes of Creation on May 10th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Pacific. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. And if you have questions, ping those guys. Try to get your question on their list. I know some of them have already sent some over, but I did give them till like the day before to check in. So yeah, we're excited.
We
to
could
do
live
that.
stream the
I'm excited to
AMAs
see
too,
what
I
they ask
suppose.
Stephen.
I never really
I'm
thought
very
about
excited
it.
for that AMA. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right.
On first
And
party
with
RMG
that,
through
we are wrapping up. Any final things that you want folks to know from your perspective,
It's
Stephen?
creating a problem
No,
to
I
fix a
think it was
problem.
a great stream. I think we're making great progress. Obviously,
And so
as we
I don't
continue
like
to
it.
develop towards Alpha 2, we are gaining progress every day, right? The team is hard at work in achieving that. We will continue to give you updates on how things are going. Right now, things are looking good from a production standpoint. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great test session, Alpha 2. I think people are going to be participating in something that is unique to the space, and I'm excited to see how people respond.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I'm
I
excited
know
to
my
play
team's
it.
most excited for that because that's when we get a lot of social interaction. That's when we can do stuff with you guys in game and run events and stuff. And especially with a longer testing period, we'll get to do a lot of fun things. People keep saying that's your phylactery.
That's my
Your mug.
phylactery. I would
He's
hide my
drinking
phylactery.
from it. It can't be his
Be
phylactery.
out in the open.
Everybody knows you
Anything
can't drink
inside,
your
no one would
soul.
know.
Yeah.
But of course, join us for that AMA. And then we also have our forums. We would love for you to head on over to forums.ashesofcreation.com. Send us your feedback. We have a thread
Everybody.
already out
I
for
bet
Midnight
most people
Magic. So anything
that
that we
play D&D
showcased
don't
in
know
this
that.
live stream, we would love your
That
feedback
is the thing
on.
that you
And of course, we want
it
you
can't
to
be
say a
his
huge,
phylactery.
huge thank you to all of you who tune in live. We appreciate you spending your time with us and hanging out and chatting with us and giving us a pulse on how we're moving forward and progressing our product. And of course, thank you to Christopher, Gabe, Brian, and Todd for joining us for the showcase. And of course, you, Stephen, for your time. We hope that you guys stay healthy and happy, and we'll see you on, well, in less than a month because we're going to see you for the AMA because you're going to tune in for that, right?
Oh shit, she's calling me out.
We'll have the VOD right here up on Twitch immediately after. And then if you're over on YouTube, I apologize. It's going to be 720p because I had to reformat my PC and it downscaled for some reason. So we'll fix that. Apologies. But that will be over up on YouTube. Make sure you leave a comment on that dev update and subscribe and make sure your subscription is public so that your comment can be spotlighted in the next live stream for our development update live stream. And of course, follow us in all of the places. We are at Ashes of Creation in every social platform. We would love for you to hang out with us.
This is a
And we
short
are
one
going to
at
be
least.
showing off some
They
other
didn't like
specs
drag
that you
out
did
our
not get to
time
see with
just
the
because,
wand
you know, it
here.
was
So you'll definitely want to check those out over on our
despite it being
socials.
shorter.
And we will see you all next month.
Or
Less than next
being
month.
less
We'll
than
see you May
Shara,
10th.
May
Keep
10th.
saying next month. Bye.
Peace out, nerds. But yeah, I felt like it was really quiet during that, more than I normally am. Maybe it's the lack of coffee. But I don't know. I think one thing I wanted to say, mostly because I didn't we only recently started live streaming these. Or reacted to these, whatever. You get my point. The mage in Ashes of Creation really does almost feel like a one-to-one with Arcage. I feel like it's the only class that does, actually. I think Alpha 1's fighter, its Cataclysm skill was a hammer drop. That it was reminiscent of I forget. I always forget the name of the skill. It was a gap closer in Arcage that you basically became a hammer and flew forwards. And There's like a almost like a heroic leap type ability, but you didn't leap into the air. You can just leap forward. But yeah, no. Aside from that, though, everything we've seen has been, you could pull it from other MMOs here and there, but the mage it's just fucking Arcade Mage. It's got Arc Lightning. It doesn't have Meteor, but I mean whatever. But it just straight. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. There's some difference. Like Ball Lightning and the Magma Field, I guess, are different compared to, but so it's not 1-to-1 maybe, but it's pretty close. Now they just need frigid tracks. Every Arcade player just grimaced a little bit when I said that, I'm sure. I was gonna say, how long does this last? I kind of like watching it, even though we've seen them all before, but like... Okay. Let's turn off display capture. Blam. I can close out of this now. So we're gonna move to 2077, but first, yeah, I mean, I think, and obviously not every showcase is gonna be great. Not every showcase is gonna have whatever. It's cool that we got to see a biome that we haven't seen for forever, so we know it exists at the very least. Not much else to say about that one, honestly. Lighting looked decent. I'd say for an MMO, it looks good. In terms of like other games, I still think it could have been darker. But in spell effects, I think lightning looks a little too bright. Still, like every time he I forget the name of the spell, the one where he casts it from above him. It looks it was flashbanging me every time he cast it. But aside from that, I think it all looks fine. Maybe just tone down the crackliness of it so the whites of the lightning don't like ever really come prominent. Maybe I don't know what you would do. I'm just throwing out something. Anyways, I digress. The other side of that though, so Marth, you asked what's my opinion on first party RMT through the developers, and I said it's developers creating a problem to solve a problem, which I don't like. However, the other thing that I wanted to add to that is really the only thing it does is it makes it so that the money is in the hands of the developer, and scammers who are trying to kind of like grift in on that idea don't get their chance to do so, right? So I suppose there is a tiny bit of safety in that, but let's be real. Most RMT in video games, it usually happens behind closed doors. If you're going through a website, the only thing that's going to happen to you is you're on the risk of having your account stolen if you under certain circumstances. But it's very rare nowadays. I mean, not like I RMT very much nowadays. I can't think of the last time I did. But it's one of those ones where like you're usually buying from other players nowadays. I won't list off any websites because we're on Twitch and I don't want to like run any risks here. But like you're not gonna go to like some sketchy site. You're gonna go to like a site that's been around for like 10 years. You know, like something that hasn't been shut down or like doomsayed to hell and back. So the risk isn't really there anymore. So the only real benefit to it is that the developers get the money instead of some rando out in wherever fucking nowheresville. And I guess depending on the developer, that's like a boon because I don't know, maybe you want your game to have more money. But then if you look at things like World of Warcraft, the WoW token is quite literally the only thing to spend gold on now. And unless you're trying to like speed level your professions, which is a one-time thing. So the moment you're done that, you don't have to ever do it again. And I don't think you can really do that for the current expansion, if memory serves. I mean, I haven't played in a couple expansions, so maybe you can again. But I'm 90% certain you couldn't do it in Battle for Azeroth or Legion, at the very least. Or it was like exorbitant, like it just wasn't worth doing. It would be easier and faster to just go fucking gather it yourself. What else? Guild Wars 2, I guess you could argue, does it. But, I mean, Guild Wars 2 kind of avoids, like, the whole pay-to-win allegations. Despite it, factually, like, the definition of the word is pay-to-win. It avoids it by being very more horizontal than vertical. So you could pay to win yourself to, like, max power if you wanted to. It would be stupidly expensive. But someone's going to catch up to you in a month anyways of playtime. Like, it's just not worth doing. And most players that have been playing the game for years at this point are already at that point. So RMPing just is weird. It's like most people, I think, just do it. Like I think most people will cash out their gems into gold when they have a little bit left after a purchase. That's pretty much it.